Good morning, grade 10s. I hope you guys have all had a good week and that everything is well your side. Just to recap what we did this week, on Monday you had the lesson off just to catch up and have a bit of a breather. Tuesday we did finding the equation of a straight line and you had to do exercise 6, and I'm sure you've marked that by now. On Wednesday we did the investigation where you had to see the effects of A and Q on a parabola, and you had to draw a couple of parabolas there. Then on Thursday, yesterday's lesson, the notes were explaining the effects of A and Q on a parabola. You needed to go through those notes, you needed to make summaries in your book and make sure that you understand what's going on there. There was no exercise yesterday, it was just the theory which you needed to make summaries of. Today we are going to learn how to sketch a parabola, and for today we are only going to use the table method. You will see on Monday we're going to do a different method, but for today we are just going to do the table method. Just to recap, by now you should know that the Q value is your y-intercept. So in standard form the function reads y is equal to ax squared plus q. That q value is where it cuts your y-intercept. Once the y-intercept has been determined, you are then going to choose your x value. So I've said there you can choose -2, -1, 0, 1 and 2. Those are usually enough to get the basic shape of your parabola. You are then going to substitute those x values into your equation, and you will get the y values, which you will write as a coordinate. Once you've got your 5 coordinates, you're then going to plot them on your Cartesian plane, and once you have plotted them, you are going to join them to form a smooth curve. You're not going to make a straight pointy line, it's going to be a smooth curve. And then once you've done that, you're going to check the shape of your parabola and check the y-intercept. So when I say the shape, I mean you're going to look at your a value. If it's positive, it should be a smiley parabola. If your a is negative, it should be a sad parabola. You're going to look at your a. If your a value is 2 or 3 or 4, your parabola should be steeper. If your a value is a smaller number, so 1 or a half or a third, you should see that your parabola is flatter. And then when I talk about the q value, I mean your y-intercept. You make sure that the graph cuts at your y-intercept, which is your q value. So if the function reads y is equal to 3x squared plus 4, you need to make sure that your y-intercept cuts at positive 4. So when I say check your a and q, that it match up, that's just to double check that you have drawn it properly and that you haven't made any mistakes. We are going to do 2 examples together. You can see the first one is y is equal to 2x squared plus 3. Now before you even start drawing it, you should notice a few things. You should notice that your a value is positive 2, which means your parabola is going to be a smiley face. It's going to be going up, pointing upwards. You should also see that it's 2, which means it would be slightly steeper compared to the original function. And then you should notice your q value is plus 3, so you should be expecting a shift up of 3 units. If you look at the second one, you've got negative x squared minus 2. That negative, so your a value is -1. That negative tells you that it is going to be a sad parabola, so it's going to be pointing downwards. You can see the -2 should indicate to you that there's going to be a vertical shift going down 2 spaces. Okay, so for today, we're just going to use the table method. So I'm going to move over to a video now and I'm going to do it with you, and then we'll move on to the homework. Right, grade 10, so we're going to do 2 examples together. You will see that today we are going to use the table method, but we are going to learn a different method on Monday, but I'm just going to give you a few pointers as we go along. So the first thing it says, sketch the graph of y is equal to 2x squared plus 3. That x squared indicates that it is a parabola. So I've written here what is the a and the q value. You don't really need that to do the table method, but I just want you to start thinking in terms of that. So you can see the a value is 2. It's positive 2, which means you're going to have a positive parabola. It's going to be a smiley parabola. And the fact that it's a 2 shows that your graph is going to be a little bit steeper compared to an original one. Then if you look at the Q value, you can see it's plus 3. So that means that the graph should shift up 3 places. All right. So from there, we're going to use the calculator to do the table method. And I'm going to use my values from -2 to +2. So my function is 2 alpha close bracket, which gives me x, and then squared, and then plus 3. So that's my function. I'm starting at -2. I'm ending at -2. And my intervals are going to be 1. And then it gives me my table. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite the coordinates here. So I've got -3 and 11. Sorry. I've got -2 and 5. I've got, wait, I've actually made a mistake there, sorry, excuse that. I've got -2 and 11. I've got -1 and 5. I've got 0 and 3. I've got 1 and 5. And I've got 2 and 11. So those are my coordinates. I've just written them down. And then from there, all I'm going to do is literally plot those points. So I've got -2 and 11, which is about there. I've got -1 and 5, which is there. I've got 0 and 3, which is there. I've got 1 and 5, sorry, which is there. And I've got 2 and 11, which is there. And once I've plotted those points, all I'm going to do is just form a nice smooth curve, no sharp points. And I'm going to extend it a bit and form my arrows. So now a few things you should notice. First of all, the shape, is it correct? Have I got a smiley face? Yes, I do. It's positive. A is positive. Second thing, you can see your Q value is 3. Has my graph shifted up 3 spaces? 1, 2, 3. Yes, that is the starting point, is at 3. So just start thinking in terms of your A and your Q to check that your shape is correct and that your y-intercept is also correct. I'm going to move on to a second example. And it says y is equal to -1/2 x squared minus 2. So my A value is -1/2. So that should indicate to me that it is going to be a sad parabola or a negative parabola. And the fact that A is -1/2 means that my graph is going to be a little bit flatter. It's not going to be as steep as the one I've just done. It's going to be slightly flatter. My Q is -2, which means that my graph is going to shift down 2 spaces. From there, I'm going to go straight to my calculator. I'm going to put in my function. So my f of x is equal to my fraction button, 1/2 alpha x squared minus 2. I'm starting at -2, ending at +2. My intervals are 1. And I've got the values -2 and -4, -1 and -2,5, 0 and -2, 1 and -2,5, and 2 and -4. So those are my coordinates. And once again, I'm just going to now plot my points. So I've got -2 and -4, which is there. I've got -1 and -2,5, which is there. I've got 0 and 2, which is there. I've got 1 and -2,5, which is there. and I've got 2 and negative 4, which is there. Once I've plotted my points, I'm now going to join them to form my parabola. Remember, smooth lines, and you can see that is a lot flatter compared to the previous one. So the first thing you should see is that it is a sad parabola, it's a negative parabola, and the second thing is the y-intercept is -2, so it has shifted down 2 places, and you can see it is not as steep as the previous one because of our a value. Alright, grade 10s, I hope that helped you. We're going to move on to the homework now. So in your textbook, page 146, exercise 9, you're going to do question 1 and question 2. For question 1, you will see 1a, there are 3 functions there. You're going to draw all 3 on the same set of axes. And then for 1b, they've given you another 3. Again, you're going to draw 3 of them on the same set of axes. So for question 1, you will only have 2 Cartesian planes. Right, guys, if you get stuck or if you need help, please shout, please ask your teachers. That's what we are for. I hope you have a great weekend, and we will chat again on Monday.